Thanks very much, Melody. And if you're counting on me to make some time up, you're going to be set up for failure, because everybody knows how much I love to talk about this important topic. So I have the opportunity to really cover two items this morning. We look forward to a fireside chat in a few minutes with a very special guest. But what I really wanted to start this morning's discussion about is I really wanted to focus on four areas from the perspective of the overall strategy of the CNIC and what our focus has been and will continue to be over the course of the next year. Before I talk about our focus, I do want to start with some very important thank yous. I was just talking to Doug Borum earlier, and he was reflecting on the first time we had our initial CNIC kickoff meeting back in 2018 up at the Mars Discovery Center, and we had 30 people there. And thanks to all of the work of everybody in this room, it is absolutely amazing to see not only the breadth, but the size and the diverse nature of what we've been able to bring together. It's really important, but that doesn't happen without leadership. And I'm always, I love to thank and recognize everybody for their contributions, but I'm always worried I'm going to miss somebody. But there's a few individuals and groups in the room that I really do want to recognize today. The first is, and I think anybody who's involved in the CNIC, you'll appreciate this, is we have absolutely four amazing staff members at the CNIC who make everything happen. Myself and the members of the board and our founding members, we make up all these crazy ideas about ambitious things the CNIC should do, and they just magically make it all happen. And they make it look really easy. So if I could ask, I don't know if they're all in the room, but Melody, Evan, Amanda, and Marwa to stand up. Let's give them a big round of applause. And of course, they always divide and conquer and are doing 10 things at once, so it's only Melody in the room, because of course it would only be efficient to have one person in the room. They're the most efficient team out there, but we wouldn't be able to do the things that we do without them. Could I also ask members of the CNIC board to stand up? Let's give them a round of applause for not only their financial contributions, but their time. Please stand up. Leslie, that's you. Come on, everybody needs to stand up. So, but we have a fantastic board. It's diverse from the perspective of the organizations that it represents across Canada, from producers to developers to folks who are on the front line, and we really do appreciate all the leadership from members of the board. And the final group of people that I really want to thank is all of you who every single day wake up and are contributing to this sector across Canada. My dad always used to tell me that the test and the measure of a successful day is that when your head hits the pillow at the end of the day, if you ask yourself, did you make a difference today? If the answer to that question is yes, then really you've had a successful day. And I think all of you that are in this sector, and sometimes we get caught up in everything from the business plans to the meetings to all the work we have to do. I always like to keep in the forefront the reminder that really what we're doing is all about patients at the end of the day. Patients that you may never see, people that you may never interact with, but the work that you are doing is making an important difference in their life. Because the sad reality is that 40% of people in this room will get cancer in our lives. But as I always say, 100% of us in this room will be impacted by cancer, whether it's ourselves, our loved ones, our friends, our family, colleagues, people in our communities. So those thank yous are exceptionally important, because we wouldn't be where we are today without all of that dedication. There's four key priorities for the CNIC that I do want to spend a couple of minutes here and talk about very briefly today. You see the Isotope for Hope branding that we have across the conference. The core element initially in the Isotopes for Hope campaign, and this is our one of our four pillars, is to double Canada's production by 2030. We all understand that without production, and not only production, but reliable production of life-saving medical isotopes, whether it's from our amazing cyclotron fleet that we have here in Canada, whether it's from McMaster University, our sole research reactor, or our power reactor fleet between Bruce, Darlington, Pickering, and Point Lepreau, that without that supply, we really can't lead. And as you can see from the various updates that we're going to have today, Canada remains on track, if not ahead of plan, to double our production of medical isotopes by 2030, which was something we launched back in 2023. So we're well ahead of that. Why is that so important? Well, because we see from all of the speakers that the world demand for medical isotopes is doubling in that same period. So we need Canada to be able to keep up with that world demand because people are counting on Canada, as we always like to say. When we formed the CNIC in 2018, it had much more of a production focus. And as this has grown, and you'll see in a lot of the presentations today, it really leads to our second area of our Raise a Hope campaign, which is what I call leadership in treatments. And I think that with that strong production base, we're able to have a very thoughtful and exciting and important discussion on leading the world in treatments and development of treatments for around the world. And I'm sure all of you have experienced the same dynamic, but when people hear that you are involved in this space, very often people will reach out to you when they have a loved one who's impacted by cancer. I just had somebody who will remain nameless, who actually works at Bruce Power. His wife is in a very, very difficult situation. We had a conversation last night, and people reach out about what hope is out there. And while we have made a tremendous amount of progress, and you're going to see that in the slides in terms of new treatments available, you see the global trends that the IEA, I think, very appropriately laid out. We can't go fast enough for the needs that are out there. And I think that's something we all need to keep in mind. So part of the CNIC's role is what can we do to create either the policy or the regulatory or frankly the broader external environment to allow your organizations to do the great work that you do. One of the things that we consistently hear is how much faster we could go if some of these barriers were removed or if there was more resource. And so our goal is to continue to lead in treatments and recognize that fast is never fast enough for the demands and the needs that real people have out there. And so that's something we need to continue to advocate for. The third pillar is something that you're going to see us, we talk about it a fair amount in the context of cobalt. But as we go forward and think about our production doubling by 2030, is moving beyond, what are some of the isotope applications beyond a direct medical isotope? So we know we're a leader in sterilization. We know we are a leader in using cobalt, for example, in areas like tackling the Zika virus. I think one of our previous hosts, she gave a presentation a number of years ago in terms of infection control and what that has meant. But where you see OPG, I think, Leslie's in the room, the work that they're doing in fusion power as an example. There are a lot of really critical applications in terms of advancing an innovation economy beyond cancer diagnosis and treatment that we want to continue to support as a CNIC. And those beyond medical applications are going to, I think, grow in prominence. And the fourth area really goes to what our last speaker, and she did an amazing job, and thank you for everything the IEA is doing, but Raise a Hope is something that we had, Melody and myself had the opportunity to go meet with your Director General back in November, and you are right, he is just a champion when it comes to Raise a Hope. We're very lucky to have him, but the reality is that there is a large percentage of this world that we live on who do not have access to really things that are very basic to us here in Canada. And I think our introductory speaker this morning, I don't know where he is, he talked about Canada's long history, and our first For example, cobalt beam therapy that we had, I think it was 70-something years ago in Canada. The reality in the world is that there's easily, depending on the numbers you want to believe, 30, 40, as high as almost 50%. It's tough to pin down the exact numbers of people in the world that do not have access to that treatment that we had available in Canada over 70 years ago. We talk about it like it was something over 70-something years ago as way in the past, and to think even if it was 30% of the world's population doesn't have access to that today, there's a significant inequality there. And we're in a world where I understand the politics of it. I don't agree with it, but we are in a world where a lot of countries and organizations are looking very inward at, let's take care of ourselves first, and we have to take care of Canadians. We have to prioritize that, but we also have to look, and I think partnering with the IAEA on what can we do to help with that, because that is, the only reason why we have access to better care in Canada versus somebody that may be in, for example, one of these African countries that I know the Director General is really focused on, is just by luck in terms of where we were born. So Raise a Hope is something the CNIC is going to support. It's not going to come into conflict with the work we're doing to represent the focus we need here in Canada, but we have a moral obligation to do what we can. And in my last 30 seconds, in terms of Raise a Hope, we will be announcing in the coming weeks the launch of a training program that we will be carrying out at the end of the year, where we will be bringing some countries we've worked with the IAEA on, Latin American countries that will benefit from training here directly in Canada. So they can go back to their home countries with some of that capability, and again, hope to move the dial. And in my last 7 seconds, which I'll be more than 7 seconds, Melody, so I'm not looking at you, because I know I'll be getting an evil eye, although Melody never has an evil eye, but I just know when I'm in trouble. There's 4 organizations that I do want to thank in the room, because we went out to the board members of the CNIC and asked for contributions to financially support this upcoming training program to bring people from these countries that are in need of the support. And there's 4 organizations that I do want to recognize, and if there's representatives from that organization, please stand up. The first is, I don't know if there's anybody in the room from Atkins Realis. If you can, please stand up. Atkins Realis. Bruce Power. There's got to be a few. Larry, you can stand up from Bruce Power. Stand up if you're from Bruce Power. Laurentis and OPG, Ontario Power Generation and Laurentis, please stand up. And BWXT Medical. So these are organizations that have all stepped up. They financially are contributing to our effort at the end of the year to do this as Canadians. So let's give them and their organizations a big round of applause for that. So that's my update. 4 pillars: double production, lead in treatments, enhance isotope development beyond medical to innovative, maybe more support for healthcare, potentially other applications, and remember, Raise a Hope, right? We're not doing all we can. We're not meeting my dad's test, as I like to say, of did you do everything you could do? Did you make a difference? If we're only thinking at home, we got to think around the world. And those are our forward focus areas. We're going to continue to drive those like crazy.